I have some typical examples here of swed shoes. Most of these are bars. Swed shoes, this is a V bar, for example, and it has a sweat in toe. It's been turned and punched. This one actually, I swelled the end to help with the problem in the buttress of this foot. Typically, your thoroughbred horses, that's where the majority of your problem is in the back third. But these are just some examples of different bars. These are all handmade, turned and punched. This one has a sweat in toe, which we don't use much anymore with the poly surfaces and stuff. But these are this has been turned, forge welded, and the toe sweat in. Egg bars. There are several examples of these. This is an egg bar that I had a sweat in toe, forge welded. This particular horse had trouble in the back of his heel, like I'm talking about, the back part of that foot where a lot of that concussion is taken on race horses, and I just put a rubber pad around it, and the back end will be floated on this particular horse. But these are the ways that you used to have to make all your bars. Everything was forge welded. Usually 1/4 x 1/2 was real popular, or 1/4 x 5/8. Depending on what size foot you had to work with. Moving on to some of the problems, quarter cracks and sore heels and stuff like that. I'll use a Kirkhart XT, cut it off and make a Z bar, and I have several examples left and right. You can flip these depending on which side, and it's just a cutout window, and it floats. This heel's floated. Maybe for just a sore heel, abscess, quarter crack, stuff like that. This is a complete heart bar. You can actually float both the heels with this and let your frog take a lot of the pressure. A straight bar just dropped in to a race plate. I use a aluminum flux core rod. Flux core meaning that the flux is actually inside the rod, and a oxygen acetylene torch is the way I've had the most success doing this. Moving on to some of the ready-made stuff. If you're in a big hurry, these JB wells, I use some of these for typical applications, and like I say, the majority of it is the back third of that foot I'm interested in. Spider, they call these spider pads. It's actually an aluminum pad, and you can cut out the section that you need to wherever your soreness is. Here's an example of one on a square-toed shoe that I just pulled out. I kind of hang on to these because occasionally they'll fit they'll fit some other horses as well, but it's just braided in the heel, and this has a square toe, and it's I just drill through the nail holes, and it kind of gives you some support in the heel, and you actually have a natural, I guess they call that an ankle release, so you're not obstructing that horse for racing purposes. Nowadays we have so many synthetic tracks, poly tracks, and things of that nature. There's some new products out that I'm excited about. For pads, this is a new Smart Bond pad by Kirkhart, and like I was saying, that the back third of these feet are where most of your concussion is absorbed. So I like this idea because you're padding the back of the foot where you have the ground strike, and you're not adding say 1/8 of an inch or whatever the thickness of your pad is to the hoof. The key to a thoroughbred racehorse is I think to get him as short as you can without him being sore and supporting his heel. This is a Kirkhart shoe with a no vibe pad on it, and you can see that you're adding the thickness to the length of that foot. And these are fine if you have a horse that's sore all the way around. I'll typically take a hoof knife or something and kind of seat this out to eliminate the sole pressure, but you are adding length to that foot, and that's why I'm kind of excited about these Smart Bonds. Typically when you use a pad, you're going to get shifting and movement through your nails in a few weeks. So we haven't had these on long enough yet to see how the results are going to be, but I have, I think, currently five horses that are wearing these, and they seem to be hitting the ground well at the moment. And more of the poly-track stuff, the hinds. I did a study with Mitch Taylor in the on-track software. We shod with some prototype shoes that at Kingland, the horse on the poly didn't slide near as much as he did on the dirt track. Same horse shod with the same shoes on two different racing surfaces. So Kirkhart's come up with this Synergy, they calling it, and it has the XT. It's a 2mm toe, and it's kind of rounded like a half round, and you still have the fuller in here. The thing I like about it is the shape and the fact that there's toe grab. Because that horse is stopping behind, primarily the hind feet is what we were studying, they get a jarring, so this toe kind of helps it slide through. If a thoroughbred horse can't slide and get easily through his slide phase, he has a harder time with the load phase and getting to that quicker. We've since learned to take the toe grabs off these horses and just get them comfortable. A comfortable horse is going to run them much better than a horse with all the traction devices you can put on him. The typical thoroughbred horse, kind of, to me, doesn't grow down as much as he grows out because of his length of cannon and his length of pastern. So it seems like I'm always fighting to get this horse back up underneath himself, and these fast breaks kind of aid in that. It's somewhat of a square toe, but not as blunt, and I don't finish that toe all the way back. I'll just kind of let it hang over, and he'll kind of take off what he needs. But the main thing is I'm worried about supporting this heel in the back, as most thoroughbred horses, when they start campaigning hard, tend to keep their heel beat down. It's funny, I see more problems in the thoroughbred horses, quarter cracking and stuff like that, with it's typically too much heel. If I can back that up and unload that heel, they seem to do a little better. Another shoe that I'll go to for buttress or heel soreness, kind of in the bar area, is an onion shoe. This is pretty square, almost too square for me a little bit, but I'll dress this toe grab down because I don't want any more than about 2 millimeters of length of toe grab. But it does do a nice job of covering up the bar area. Typically these racehorses will get a little sore in there if they're running hard enough to hurt themselves. But these are just some of the examples I use. Sometimes you get a thin-footed horse that maybe it doesn't have the hoof wall that it needs. You have to glue on shoes. Most any of these shoes can be glued on, but I do like the Polyflex shoe because most race plates will expand and contract this way, but there's also holes in the racetrack during racing, and it seems to move very well, medial and lateral too. So these take very little glue, easy to shape. There's a rod inside, a metal rod that maintains the shape once you shape it, and glue that on and clean it up in here, and they seem to do pretty well with this. And this is the same shoe, kind of in the square toe version, different size. These come in small, medium, large, and I think they even have an extra large out. And they've even started manufacturing some of these for the sport horse. They're typically a little bit heavier shoe. But these are just some of the examples that I use on a typical race horse or horses that have problems with their heels, and try to keep them comfortable so they can continue to race.